don't understand. Freedom has many difficulties, but we have never had to put a wall up to keep our people in.
For No King's Day, we chose the opposite. We went back to our MAGA counter cognitive serious opening. Welcome to the Leo Zagami Show with Leo and Christy. October 18th of the year of the Lord 2025. Today we're going to be debating a topic of importance, which I've been discussing many times before in my book, starting from volume 6.66, ending with, of course, volume 12, and passing through volume 7. The topic is Chrislam, the one-world religion. The Vatican is basically launching the unexpected, for some, not for us, Muslim prayer room. Oh my God. Guys, welcome. And Christy, who are the sponsors for today's show?
Daniel and Malgrazada Minsa.
Oh, thank you so much, guys. You are the ones who keep this show going. We're going to have a surprise soon. By the end of the month, if God wants,
God wants.
Absolutely. We're going to have a new book. And that book is going to be groundbreaking. I'm not going to say yet what it's about.
It's very relevant.
It's very relevant.
Like all your books.
And we have, as you know, I have concluded the Confessions of an Illuminati series with volume 12. And we're moving further with a series of essays of social, political, religious nature, of course, always involving secret societies, the Vatican, and various sectarian activities of sorts. But like Casey said, this book is going to be so relevant. People
wrote it before all. I mean, it's just like that.
Okay. In any case, it's also a book that's going to be very hard to debate and debunk in any way, shape, or form, because I'm sticking to the facts that nobody knows, that are worth bringing out in the open. So today, like we said, we have a lot of people who are marching around the cities. No kings here, no kings there. Guys, this is still the United States of America. We have a constitution. There is no kings. 1776 was the answer to the monarchy to establish this republic on which we stand, which is still very strong, and I think it's quite ridiculous. But George Soros, of course, he is paying for all these people, millions of people around the cities, all these all these cities, and Joe Rogan, I think, really synthesizes the whole thing very well.
Political cause thing, yeah. All those people that are protesting on the streets, 99% of them are losers. The other ones work for the Fed.
I have a whole joke about that. It's like fucking, if
it's FBI agents and losers. That's all it is. The whole fucking every protest,
dude,
is FBI agents and losers.
I talk about this all.
And of course, financed by George Soros, because a lot of these losers often work for federal institutions that now don't have any pay, so maybe they need some money.
I'm glad they're paying the military.
Well, that's absolutely that's something
that was such a relief.
Yeah, that was definitely a relief. And of course, we are living in troubled times, guys. So it's quite incredible. We're going back into the news today because we've been discussing topics relating to the esoteric, the occult world, the sectarian world. I think it was about time to just bring you an episode about what's happening at the moment, because we see these B-52s that are starting to scare Venezuela. We see all this military activity. People can't connect the dots. So I thought maybe I should help you out. Venezuela is connected to what is happening in Ukraine. Maybe if we bypass Europe and now in Hungary, Putin and Trump manage to meet up, they will sort things out. But in the meantime, let's not forget who is Venezuela doing business with. Most of its business is with China, and of course also they have the support of Russia. So it's almost like our local Ukraine here, Venezuela. And so of course the excuse is the drugs, the fentanyl, and all that. But in reality, we have a lot of oil, we have a lot of possible goods of sorts that might be of our liking, but at the same time, it's a country which is working with the enemy, and it's basically in our courtyard. So this is what is happening. It's a situation, of course, and let's not forget one thing. The head of the Jesuits, as those who have read Volume 12 know very well, is Sosa, a Venezuelan. So, we are about to go into war with Venezuela, and the head of the Jesuits is from Venezuela. Maybe people should read this book, learn a little bit more about, the fact, like I said, that all that fentanyl is coming in, and that, of course, Trump every now and then, he has killed, I think, up until now, 27 narco traffickers in these boats that keep on arriving on our shores, but they usually could end up very bad, like in this case. Now, there has been a couple of survivors. We're going to see what they say from this later attack. Of course, all the left wing, they say, why is he attacking these people? Why is they should have due process. What kind of due process can you give to these criminals of Trenaragua, of all the other gangs related to the destabilizing activities of Venezuela, which are basically financed by China, so they can't destroy the American dream, because that is really what is happening. I mean, don't you remember the Trenaragua guys going there in that area of Denver, with their machine guns?
Aurora?
Yes, with their machine guns arriving like this. And that was the norm during the Joe Biden era. So leaving politics aside, I mean, what is happening at the moment, at least when it comes to ICE and immigration, I find very positive, because people like me who have gone through a long bureaucratic process to obtain the American citizenship and the naturalization can't be bypassed by a bunch of scumbags who just come through illegally and then don't respect the rules of our great country. So people today, of course, were seen in the streets, and this No King protest is headed by Jesuits and priests of sorts. Times Square example. See them. See, that's it. Jesuits, 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 and in Times Square. And this is only, I mean, the scenes are from all over the United States. I repeat, there is so many people that at the moment are marching, but to my knowledge, this is not yet a monarchy. I will know. I know about monarchies. But I mean, whatever. If it makes them happy, that's okay. We are still a free country. I saw that basically there was Nick Shelley there that was interviewing these people. I think he was in New York. And it's quite interesting to see what is their justification to this protest, what they are claiming and all that. In any case, in the meantime, let's say, I tend to disapprove some of Trump policies. So it's not like I embrace everything 100%. MAGA for me is more like what Major Taylor Greene is doing. Marjorie Taylor. She's actually very good. I mean, the thing is, guys, that we need to be able, to afford our medical assistance. No, that's you say that.
Your medical insurance.
Medical insurance, yes, and that's not possible if they approve what Trump and his package and one beautiful bill and all the rest. I mean, it's true. When it comes, I remember one question that Nick Shelley was giving to one of the people in the street about, should we give a free medical care to illegal immigrants? Of course not. Of course not. I don't want to spend billions for people who shouldn't be here in the first place. But I, as an America first, I should come first. And we should come first as Americans, and we should be offered the possibility of affording a medical assurance without having to pay money that we don't have in an economic situation at the moment, which is not easy for anybody, because none of us is a millionaire, to my knowledge, or has made millions in the last few months.
Trump has.
Well, those people who, of course, have money make more money, but that seems to be how the world goes around these days. In any case, let's see what happens. I hope that we can arrive to a solution that will give Americans the right, and this is very important, the right to take care of their families, of themselves, and, with a proper medical assurance that doesn't cost a fortune. So that is something that I wanted to talk about just for starters. But now let's go to the heart of the problem today, because the Vatican has done definitely the unexpected for some, or the expected for others. But before we go to see what the Vatican has done, let's see what a libtard claims the Vatican has done. Because, you have also the libtards who like to defend the Vatican. Let's see.
Bit of a doozy. Did the Vatican Library actually provide a Muslim prayer room for Muslims to be able to just do their prayers, even though Islam is directly contradictory to Christianity? Nope, it's okay. This one's a hoax. What happened was there were Muslim scholars at the Vatican Library. Now, the Vatican Library isn't like your local public library. A lot of people come to study the different artifacts and religious texts that are there. It's kind of a big deal that they have so many centuries upon centuries of historical manuscripts. Now, some someone came in who was studying this stuff, who was approved to be there, who was Muslim. And he said, hey, I got to do some of my prayers. I don't want to do it in the library where everyone is here. And, you got to be quiet because it's the library, just like your local public library. Some things are still the same. And they said, yeah, there's an empty room back there. Go do your thing. That's literally all it is. People are blowing this out of proportion because the Vatican was nice to a Vatican person was nice to someone and said, yeah, don't disturb other people. Go free to do your stuff in peace. I don't really care. That's it. Don't trust the media.
Yeah, sure. Don't trust the bullshit of this guy who thinks that the Vatican is simply, there is some Muslims who are studying there at the Vatican Library who need to, be helped out because otherwise, where are they going to go and pray? So we create for them the Vatican Library grants the Muslims scholars a prayer room. Now, let's be honest here. If I ask the Muslims to establish a prayer, a Christian prayer church, basically, in Mecca, they will laugh at me because there is no way the Muslims don't even let non-Muslims inside Mecca. The same should be for the Vatican. But because this is basically, how things have been in the last few decades since the Second Vatican Council, that, anything goes, and they are working towards the one world religion, because that's what I had explained together with the Muslims in Volume 7, as well as Volume 6. I talked about Volume 6.66 about Chrislam. And King Charles is going to the Pope also now, and King Charles is, of course, going to pray with the Pope in a Vatican that has now opened up to the Muslims. So I wanted to hear also maybe a more conservative, I hope, opinion. Let's hear a clip from Taylor Marshall, who is a known author, somebody who has actually cited me in one of his books. Taylor Marshall.
Well, the Vatican has accommodated the request of certain Muslims to have a place allocated to them in Vatican City, namely the Vatican Library, for Islamic prayer, and a Muslim prayer carpet to be established as a liturgical space, prayer space for them in Vatican City. And there's two things that concern me on this. The first is the optics of it. We have been begging, groveling, saying, please, can we have our traditional Latin Mass on Sunday at 2 p.m.? And over, we've seen that request denied, or where it did exist, it's been taken away. And the reason for that is we need unity. We need everyone to be the same. And yet Muslims who deny the New Testament, deny the 21 ecumenical councils, deny the divinity of Christ, deny the Trinity, they make a request and they receive it.
I mean, that's incredible. I mean, okay. It's not incredible for those who have read my books, because I've been saying it all along that this will be happening, and that, of course, at one point we will have also the involvement of King Charles, because he's a closet Muslim of sorts. Yeah, so now, on the 22nd and 23rd of October in the Vatican, the King will join Pope Leo XIV for an ecumenical service in the Sixtine Chapel during his visit with Queen Camilla. And this gesture is regarded as a significant moment in relations between the Catholic Church and the Church of England, of which Charles is supreme governor. And Charles is the one that yesterday had to convince his brother to accept the fact that he's no longer the Duke of York. Of course, there is a book coming out in 3 days, the book of Virginia Giuffre. And in this book it says that Andrew used to tell her that it was his birthright to have sex with her, even when she was a minor. And there is many other things. We are in it together. sounds like a lip-tap thing, but it's in reality what Andrew and Epstein, we had in it together.
God.
So yesterday, Friday, 17th of October, because in England they put the number first, like we do in Italy, there was a statement. You want to read it by Prince Andrew?
Okay, a statement by Prince Andrew. In discussion with the king and my immediate and wider family, we have concluded the continued accusations about me distract from the work of His Majesty and the royal family. I have decided, as I always have, to put my duty to my family and country first. I stand by my decision 5 years ago to stand back from public life. With His Majesty's agreement, we feel I must now go a step further. I will therefore no longer use my title or the honors which have been conferred upon me. As I have said previously, I vigorously deny the accusations against me.
However, apparently he can still use the title of prince within his own entourage because he's still the son of Queen Elizabeth, the late Queen Elizabeth II, and so he still has a title by birthright. Just like he said, he had he was able to have sex with a minor because it was his birthright. I mean, the guy is completely sick. We might read a lot more about what happened behind the scenes once Virginia Giuffre's book will be published, but there is also much more than is happening in the next few weeks, and that's a surprise, of course, for all of you. Halloween is getting closer, and there is actually some very some very sick people, because only some sick individuals can go around doing jokes like this one.
I do want to take you out to a story that is making the rounds all over social media. This is over in Alexandria, Virginia, outside of D.C., and I want to play for you this clip as 3 masked people show up at the home of a woman and talk to her through her
Christy, don't get scared. Okay.
I like this stuff.
Ring door camera. I do want to lift up the audio here and listen really quickly.
Who is it? Open up the door before we make any inside. Open up the door.
I can't even begin to imagine. And again, this is video that was.
The sick people, they can actually get away with it maybe in Alexandria, Virginia. If they were in Texas or in Arizona, probably they will find somebody who will shoot them, because that was already trespassing what they were doing there. So, once you trespass, the law is in your hands, and you can do that.
I think it's over your threshold, though.
No, he was fresh. He opened the thing, and then he went through.
But he was in the door?
He was trying to break it down.
I don't know if you could shoot somebody on your porch, though. You can get in trouble for that. I wouldn't go around shooting people.
Well, I think that if he opened the first. You see, he opened the first door. He opened the first door, Christy.
Is that what you would do?
No, but it is trespassing. If he was actually able to enter, he was fortunately not able to enter. There were some old people inside.
I don't know if I'm right or wrong.
I think
that they have, because in Colorado, I think they have to come over you can't just shoot somebody on your doorstep, because then everybody would get shot. Every Jehovah's Witnesses would get shot on the doorstep. And if they open the door and knock, forget about it.
Look here what they did. I mean, it's just like these people are really sick.
I know, Maureen.
Look,
it's horrible. It's sick.
I mean,
it is sick. Okay.
I mean, it is really sick.
It's gross.
It's gross. And then you have another one who has another mask, and it's even worse than the previous ones. Check this out.
This is worse than the other one? I think the other one is worse.
I mean,
and this homeowner has not experienced this before at their residence. And so, again, it's very concerning for the greater community. And just like anyone else.
Like I said, I think that this community is not a Texas community, because if it wasn't Texas, these people would not get away with it. Trust me. But I mean, whatever. It's my own personal opinion. In any case,
and if you go and shoot people on the doorstep,
probably it's not good. But in any case, these people are. it's
Somebody who
somebody
knows
says
about
Leo is right. If they already opened the first door, that is already
Okay, well, I
trespassing.
didn't know.
That's
So
trespassing. Like I said, that's
I
trespassing.
didn't know. I just don't want my husband getting arrested for. I've already seen him get arrested for stuff, so I just want to make sure.
Okay, don't
All right.
worry.
Well, now he's going to be shooting anybody that opens the door.
No worries. Okay, getting back to this Chrislam business, let's go back to what Dr. Taylor is saying.
The optics of that, I'll just be frank, it's hurtful. We feel like the disregarded stepchild, the Cinderella in the Catholic Church. We want to be faithful. We want to attend Holy Mass every Sunday, every day, pray the rosary, obey the teachings of the church, submit to the Holy Father, Pope Leo XIV, have large families, obey the teaching on contraception, all of these things, hard teachings, many of them hard, but also sources of great joy. And we're told and we're made to feel that we don't count, that we are less, that we don't matter.
Well, what a great discovery, Dr. Taylor. I mean, I have a lot of respect for this author, who is also somebody who is obviously a very devout Catholic. But trust me, the Catholic Church is lost, is completely lost. Another interesting opinion about this prayer room. I mean, like I said, there is people like that leftists we saw at the beginning who consider it just a favor. Oh, let's, but let's not forget, I repeat, we as Christians are not even allowed close to Mecca. I mean, close. You get into Mecca and you're not a Muslim, they can behead you. And they will behead you because in Mecca they can't do it. It's not like, so for us to actually letting these people having their own prayer room in the heart of Christianity, or what should be the heart of Christianity, regardless of the library, is just, for me, it's puzzling. Let's see what another devout Catholic says.
I'm trying to keep out of the polemics that sometimes polarizes our church because, the faith is so beautiful. There's so much to deepen in our knowledge of the faith and this beautiful tradition of ours. But some of the news that comes out, you just have to say, what is going on here? What is going on? First thing was, Cardinal Supic has been in Rome lately and he has received a promotion. So Pope Leo appoints Cardinal Supic to the Commission of the Vatican City State. It's like the governing office of the Vatican. The Commission is the legislative body of the city state that was established in 1939. It has the power to approve laws and normative provisions, including the annual and triennial financial plans for the Vatican. Its laws must be approved by the Pope, who as sovereign is the head of the church. Anyway, it's interesting that Cardinal Supic, who was giving a Lifetime Achievement Award to an excommunicated Catholic who voted for and supported abortion and legislated for abortion, rendering him excommunicated according to the Catechism of the Catholic Church.
Yeah, well, we wanted to talk more about the Muslim prayer room, but if you want to talk about Cardinal Kubic, because here we're talking about definitely somebody who is a bit controversial. It seems like Pope Leo is like Pope Francis on steroids. It's like really the worst of the worst, giving awards for immigration.
I think Pope Francis was breaking in Pope Leo, or breaking us in for Pope Leo, and how bad he is.
Absolutely.
We were getting prepared for it.
Absolutely.
We had to accept things we wouldn't accept for a long time. That were really hard to accept. They were trying to make us accept things like the the trans thing and everything.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think that Pope Francis was like the introducer of all the crap.
Now, we know that this Pope has criticized Trump, has criticized MAGA, but the thing is that, of course, you know, as a Catholic, he should be against abortion because abortion is murder. But at the same time, the inhuman treatment of immigrants in the United States is not your business, because the sovereignty of a country is made out of its borders. And your Catholic President Joe Biden made this country a joke by letting in millions of these Catholics from Central and South America, so you can build up your Catholic mafia here in the United States, which used to be firmly separated from the church, of course, from our founding fathers, and built upon values that are not, or at least shouldn't be, the values of the Catholic Church. But if you bring millions of Mexicans or whatever, or Venezuela, or from other, I repeat, the fact that the general of the Jesuits is from Venezuela, and we are on the verge of a war with Venezuela, which is a communist country, hellhole, well, should already.
Weird.
It should
weird
be,
coincidence.
It's a weird coincidence. So here we are with a woke Pope, with woke values that continue to be unsurprising to us, and I think that we need to understand that now they have a Muslim prayer room. Is only the beginning of this merger. Carlo Maria Vigano, somebody is pointing out, as you know, Christy, we like to bring in some of the comments made on the chat in our show. So here we have from Alpha to Omega Beyond the Matrix, Julie Phelps, who says, Carlo Maria Vigano is one of the few who has come forward to tell the truth, and that's duly excommunicated. Absolutely. In fact, he was excommunicated. He still, of course, talks to the faithful and for those who are willing to listen to him, but is no longer part of this hierarchy, which is, of course, been taken over by Satan, because that's how it is, you know. Let's see here. Organization of Jehovah's Witnesses. We did a whole show on Jehovah's Witnesses recently. So for those who are interested, they can, of course, go to our back show catalog, receive an open check from the Catholic Church to take care of their needs while they're picking the pockets at the congregation members. Now, this is something you want to answer, Christy?
What is it? I don't know.
I didn't really understand if there was a question there. Anyway,
it's just an opinion.
It's an opinion, of course. It's an opinion. Let's continue to listen what Dr. Taylor says regarding this first Muslim prayer room in the Vatican.
Feels. And Muslims who deny Jesus, they make a request, they get the request. So that's the first thing. It's the optics. And then secondly, we live in a time, in particular for Europe, where there is mass immigration of Muslims. In the United States, like Dearborn, Michigan, but in Europe, particularly places like London, Paris, even places in Italy, where there's a massive amount of Islamic immigration. And if you look at birth rates, and I've been talking about this for a while, Muslims can and will, unless something changed, surpass the Catholic population and end up buying our churches, taking over our neighborhoods. And I see it in North Texas where I live. You know, we have 2 or 3 places where you can find the traditional Latin Mass, but there's 100 mosques that surround us. New mosques going up every single day. And so the signal from the Catholic Church, from the Vatican, you know, even from Pope Francis and maybe now Pope Leo is, we are in favor of this. We will accommodate Islam. And it looks like Islam is the future, and there's no pushback or there's no encouragement for the Catholics.
Now, I want to confirm what Dr. Taylor is saying here. because of my personal experience. I remember once I was talking with Monsignor Mario Pieracci, who is the guy who has introduced me to the media from a very young age. He was, of course, my spiritual father in the Catholic Church for many years. And so I said Mass when I was a kid. So, I mean, it's somebody I know very well. And I remember once we went to visit him with my friend Daniele Dal Bosco. It was around the year 2008. And while we were eating a piece of cocomero, watermelon, or no, how do you say cocomero?
A watermelon?
Watermelon. He told me, Leo, the Catholic Church is preparing for Islam. We know that there is, of course, more Muslims born here in Europe than Christians. The future is Muslim, is Islamic, and so we are adapting. He was very open about it. I mean, me and Daniele, we were like kind of shocked about the way he was saying. And why is Monsignor Mario Pieracci important? Because he was the guy who established SAT 2000, which is today the Bishops' Conference TV station in Italy. Is somebody who has always been like a spokesperson for the Catholic Church in the Italian media. So in regards to somebody's claiming did the Catholic Church create the Muslim faith? Well, I will say go and read volume 10, because there you have the correct understanding of what you are saying or claiming, because it's too complex now to discuss it. But I dedicated a whole chapter at the beginning of volume 10 of my Confessions to this particular thing that often is mentioned. You know, the Catholic Church has created Islam. No, it's not really like this, but there is some things you need to read volume 10 to have a full picture, because it's a very complex, but there is some elements of truth in that assertion. Some other, so, you know, I'm trying here. So this was the question. Yeah, yes. Okay, this is, I am generally starting to believe Crowley was the actual beast. Well, yes, why not? I have always said that is the case.
Called himself that.
So, I mean, once you kind of call yourself something, you might actually materialize that reality around you. And in regards to the one world religion, it's really about putting together Freemasonry, Islam, Catholicism as the, you know, they are the basis for the creation of this one world religion. I explained that in volume 7, the fact that the Freemasons are facilitating something, because the Freemasons also, like I explained in my books, Freemasonry has a lot of Muslims, and volume 10 is all dedicated to Islamic Freemasonry. So if people want to know a little bit more, actually Aleister Crowley was a guy who wanted to go to Mecca pretending to be a Muslim, but on the contrary of somebody else who actually managed to pull it off, in the end he didn't. He was probably not so versatile in the Arab language, or maybe he looked too white. There was something that didn't let him go there, because he wanted. He
was scared.
He was scared, but
he's probably a big chicken.
Maybe he could have been.
I'm sure he was a big chicken. I'm sure he hid in his house and he said a bunch of stuff, but he just hid around.
But he was he really wanted to go to Mecca, so he had this idea. He just didn't materialize it. So. But like I said, the Vatican is planning this one world religion, and of course, Chrislam is the very beginning of it. Then, of course, you have the union of all the Christian churches, the Anglican Church that comes to the Vatican with King Charles is very important, because the whole Jesuit order was created in the Reformation to establish the Counter-Reformation and to fight also the establishment of these what they claimed were heresies, from Martin Luther to the birth of the Church of England, that they were fighting. I mean, there is actually a book which I have somewhere dedicated to but I also talk about it actually in volume 12, extensively, the establishment of the entity, the Vatican intelligence services. They were established because one of the main reasons initially was to fight Queen Elizabeth I and the Church of England. And of course, then Queen Elizabeth had on her side people like John Dee. She had their own 007. John Dee was the origin of 007. That was his code name. So the very foundations of what has become later on the British intelligence is actually from those days in which they were fighting the Jesuits, who were trying all the time to sabotage the British crown and bring back the Catholics in power in Great Britain. Then, of course, then the Puritans came along, and I think that was also a big problem, because maybe the Jesuits didn't manage to control the Puritans. It all went out of control with Oliver Cromwell, who created a republic for a brief time in England. People don't know that, but there was a brief time in which the monarchy, the king was beheaded and the monarchy was established. Sorry, the republic was established for a brief time, but it was very brief time. The actual, in volume 12, I also explain Guy Fawkes, everything that happened there. The Jesuits were behind it because they wanted to sabotage the British, the English Parliament. So somebody says, please do an episode on the spy war between the Jesuits and the Crown. A lot of it has been discussed and debated in my books. I would suggest volume 1 and also volume 12. Yeah. But definitely it could be an idea maybe for a future episode. Why not? That was a question that was just made by 69 Mego 69. So we have various people who are intervening. Like we said, on a Saturday at times we open the chat board and we start answering your questions. It doesn't happen all the time, Doesn't happen all the time, but it can happen. Let's continue to follow what Dr. Taylor has said regarding this first Muslim prayer room in the Vatican.
Church in our homelands. Those are my two concerns, and we're going to discuss those today. I've been getting over a chest cold. You probably remember early this week, I kind of started losing my voice during the podcast. That was the onset. I've been battling it ever since. Here is a tweet that I want to feature. This is from a deacon, Nick Donnelly. He says, now the Vatican is providing prayer room for Muslims. Haven't they read what the Quran says about our most holy doctrines? Their insults about the most holy Trinity, the incarnation, our Lord's redemptive death on the cross. Don't they know about the systematic persecution in places like Nigeria, Africa, other places in the world? It's two things. It's the optics. And the other thing is, from the point of view of Islam, y'all heard me say for years, we have to take up space. And I've been talking, it's a whole chapter in my book, Christian Patriot, if you don't have it already. But strategy number 2 is take up space. That is, we Christians, we Catholics need to publicly demonstrate that we exist. Eucharistic processions, Marian processions.
The thing is, maximum respect, but there is no hope for the Catholic Church. It's been taken over. It's like these kind of people, like Dr. Taylor, had the impression when Pope Leo was presented there outside on the balcony, reaches all the faithful in St. Peter's Square, that, maybe this guy will be different. And a lot of people like him had the same perception. I instead went immediately after like half an hour. The Pope was announced, Leo XIV, on InfoWars on the Alex Jones shows, and I said, this guy is worse than Pope Francis. And I just was like, what? What do you mean worse than What do you mean worse than Yeah, it's worse than So, and the facts are proving what I stated, and the facts are proving what I wrote in volume 12. And so, the church has been hijacked. since the Second Vatican Council in the first half of the 1960s. The Jesuits have then amplified the message of Vatican II. So what is the hope that these, I don't understand. I mean, they're eluding themselves. They are for the traditional Mass, maximum respect. But like Dr. Taylor himself admitted, they let Muslims pray with a carpet 5 times in the Vatican, but they don't let the Catholics do a Latin Mass within the Vatican walls. I mean, it doesn't really make any sense, guys. It's insane. It's just like, you know, there has to be equilibrium here. They have waged war against Latin Mass during the Biden era using the FBI. Literally, using the FBI. The FBI was going investigating people doing a Latin Mass. Oh, like there has not been one case ever reported of a terrorist linked to a Latin Mass. I never heard about it. Ever in the history of humankind. There has been how many terrorists linked to the Islamic faith? Now, I'm not saying that all Muslims are terrorists, but to actually grant them the possibility to have a prayer room, it's something that I want to show you here. The articles that, of course, have been written about it. So then Christy maybe can cite one of them or a couple of them. Here, Vatican allows designated Muslim prayer room in the Apostolic Library. Please, Christy.
The Vatican will open a prayer room in the Vatican Apostolic Library for the Muslim scholars. One of the world's oldest libraries, the Holy See's library includes millions of theologically significant texts from the Catholic Church and other religions. The Vatican Library is selectively open to scholars of all disciples for research disciplines.
For research purposes. Muslim scholars said, I have asked us for a room with a carpet for praying. We have given it to them. Is that possible? I mean, they simply ask and they're given whatever they want.
Yes.
And then the cardinal says, we are a universal library. We are a universal
They want to be
library.
inclusive.
They want to be inclusive.
That takes the Catholics out of the inclusion.
No, it's just that it seems like that is the way. They want to be inclusive. It's a woke church. So it's a church where we saw a couple of weeks ago Arnold Schwarzenegger with the Pope blessing a block of ice. And now it's a church that is giving the Muslim the permission to actually pray within their walls, which are supposedly the most holy of the Christian world, because even before Christianity became divided in various denominations, of course there was the Vatican. That's really the legacy of Saint Peter, who is said to be buried there. So I mean, it doesn't make any sense of what is happening here, and I don't understand really a lot of what is happening, but maybe we just have to have the perception that because the Jesuits have taken over the show, there is even no reason any longer to fight to get back this church. You understand? Because I think that there is people like Dr. Taylor who have this idea that there is still a possibility of regaining some kind of reasoning, and I don't think that is possible.
A divine call and duty to remain in communion with the Apostolic See, which is the Roman See, the Roman Diocese.
Why we have to remain in communion with the Holy See if there is nothing holy anymore about it? If the office of the Pope has been hijacked by the Jesuits, there's nothing holy about it. If the Vatican is basically a place where Freemasons and Jesuits have first of all, hijacked the Second Vatican Council and then amplified the message of this Second Vatican Council that has destroyed probably the leftovers of Christianity within Catholicism. It just doesn't, I don't understand. I mean, of course, we can be like J.D. Vance or other people that hope that maybe the Catholic Church will sooner or later realize their mistakes, but that's not the case. Read volume 12, and you will understand that this church, as it is now, can only be saved by Jesus Christ himself if he comes back. There's no other savior for this church today.
And we have to be in communion with the Roman Pontiff, the Holy Father. So I'm not going into schism. Everyone's saying, oh, there's an invisible schism. It's eventually going to erupt. People have been saying that since the 90s. Nothing's happened. It seems every time you have some leaders who have a little bit of following, they're disciplined. They're cut away. So I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't know. I think we need to pray every day. We need to fast every day. We don't lose hope. But I've also just sort of accepted that, we're not allowed to sit at the cool table, right? We're excluded. We're excluded in the church.
So if you're excluded, okay. So if this guy says we are excluded from the church, okay, and we see more and more, the traditional Latin Mass and those who are traditional in their views in the Catholic Church are distant from the Holy See, why engaging in a debate with them when there is no hope for a globalist church to go back and become what it used to be before Vatican II? It's
sad.
The premise is sad. I mean, it's sad that they still believe it's possible, because you see, the premises are there. This religion is made weaker and weaker, the Catholic religion, so they can then, merge it with everything else to create a one-world religion. That's really the whole thing in the end. That's why now King Charles is going there. That's why the establishment of the first Islamic Muslim prayer room and all the rest is all part of this project. A project which I, as a Catholic living in Rome, I've seen with my own eyes.
About accompaniment and reaching out to the peripheries and everyone's welcome. We're not. It's obvious at this point, we're not. And I think at this point, I'm not a pope, I'm not a cardinal. There's nothing I can do to change it. If I were invited to the table to make a charitable, patient case, I would do it. Would I be heard? I don't know. I'm not calling for rebellion. I'm not calling for abhorrence.
But what is the solution?
I'm just calling for myself, my family, and for you to just be faithful to the church. And if we're treated...
Okay. Guys, I was born in Rome. I was brought up in the Catholic Church. Christy knows it. It's like my home. I go there. It's like, It
was really weird. It was weird. I mean, like when I met him, the first thing we did was go to churches.
Yeah. This is the places where I was brought up. I mean, and they still treat me, I must say, like, I don't know, even after all the criticism I made against them, they still...
Yeah, I mean, like, I got my permesso di soggiorno
from the head of the police at the Vatican. I know.
That's like your permit to stay. It's like your green card for Italy. Yes, got it from the bodyguard of the Pope. Yeah. And I couldn't get it like any other way. So they had put it in a drawer.
And these are like still my friends. I don't have the thing is, I criticize them. And I made everything possible for them to eventually excommunicate me. But the answer of Monsignor Mario Pieracci, yet again, was in this official event there at Santa Croce in Jerusalem, in front of a journalist, was, well, Zagami is an original. And he's been brought up amongst us, so he's an original. The way is, the new way of the Catholic Church is no longer to create the excommunication and to create, a situation whereby you go and break with somebody, like in the case of Martin Luther or whatever, because then you create a new current, a new schism, is actually to embrace the diversity and say, okay, Ilya Zagami is eccentric.
Yeah, it's so eccentric. They took all our stuff and we had to leave the country.
Yeah, whatever.
That's pretty eccentric.
But in any case, I stand firm in my positions, and I think that Dr. Taylor maybe should realize that at this point, yes, we can pray, we can continue our life as Catholics, but to be in communion with Rome is simply impossible, because it's like being in communion with the Antichrist. When you are receiving King Charles, who is possibly either the Antichrist, like explained in Volume 8, or either the father of the Antichrist, because Prince William is another heir to this title, then it's a little bit, no?
Treated second class. No schism. No schism. All right, thanks for that super chat. I'm going to jump over here into the general chat.
No schism, no schisms. Oh.
WH Dove says Muslims 421,000. Another estimate places the number at 400,000 for Texas. Yeah, Texas is being, I hate to say it, Texas is being overrun.
And now we want to have the first mayor of a major city in the United States, Mandani, a guy who has never worked one day in his life, but he has a nice smile. He smiles, he smiles, he smiles. He smiles his way all the way to the top. And now, Cuomo, of course, when you have another candidate who is running, who is incapacitated by the fact that he's the worst crook to ever have governed the state of New York, Cuomo. So, I mean, it's like, so that's impossible. The other one, the present mayor, just gave up on the race altogether. The other candidate, who is the founder of the guys with the red hat, the Guardians, the Guardian Angels. The
Guardian Angels?
Yeah. I mean, that is another guy who's not going to go anywhere. So basically, Mandani is now the guy who has 38% of the vote, with the absolute possibility of becoming the mayor of New York City and starting the same trend which started years ago in England, which now sees every single major city in the hands of the Muslims. So that is where we're going here.
By Muslims. They had tried to set up Sharia law in Irving, Texas. Fortunately, that was shot down. Our governor has shot down Sharia law, but what they do is they come in, they get a majority in a township, in a municipal region, and then they immediately try to set up Sharia courts. That's what their religion tells them to do. And yeah, it's becoming a big problem in Texas.
It's become a big problem in America, not in Texas. We have even more here in California. In California, there's 500,000. We have even more in Michigan, where they have whole cities, either Shia or Sunni. We have discussed this in a prior episode of the Leo Zagami show. But it seems like, our politicians are quite happy with turning the other way, because when you have almost 6 million Muslims here in the United States of America, turning the other way is the best thing they can do, because that's 6 million votes for them, which can really turn an election around. Volume 10 of my Confessions is the book I suggest you should read to understand Islam, to understand what is happening to the Western world, and also in regards to immigration, in regards to what we have discussed today, of course, including, of course, also Chrislam, the creation of one world religion. The Jesuits are at the center of it, and they are the protagonists of the last installment of my Confessions, Volume 12. So please keep this book like this. See if I can find volume 10 somewhere, because that's a book which I think people absolutely need. Here it is. This is the book. these two books are very important.
Yep.
Absolutely. And if you want to know the Masons behind the establishment and of this Vatican One World Religion, Volume 7 also, I mean, these are the books that are going to make you aware about the people who are behind the establishment of the first Muslim prayer room. And there is really so much superficiality from that leftist we saw at the beginning of the show saying things like this.
It's a bit of a doozy. Did the Vatican Library actually provide a Muslim prayer room for Muslims to be able to just do their prayers, even though Islam is directly contradictory to Christianity? Nope, it's okay. This one's a hoax. What happened was there were Muslim scholars at the Vatican Library. Now, the Vatican Library isn't like your local public library. A lot of people come to study the different artifacts and
what is he on?
that are there. It's kind of a big deal that they have so many centuries upon centuries of historical manuscripts. Now, someone came in who was studying this stuff, who was approved to be there, who was Muslim, and he said, hey, I got to do some of my prayers. I don't want to do it in the library where everyone is here, and you know, you got to be quiet because it's the library, just like your local public library.
Oh, okay, anyway.
No comment, guys.
Bye, everyone. See you next week.
I want to thank, though, the sponsors, Christy, this week's sponsors.
Daniel and Malgrizana Minza.
Okay, thank you so much, guys. Continue to support us. We will be back with you next week. And yet another episode of the Leo Zagami Show will be unfolding. We will not yet be presenting, of course, my latest book, but prepare yourself because it's approaching, and in a couple of weeks, maximum 3 weeks, you will have the possibility of hearing it here first at the Leo Zagami Show.
Yeah,
absolutely. So don't miss our show also next week, though. We're not sure we're going to be conducting the show with the same modality of today, discussing the news. We might go back to the esoteric or the occult. One thing, please write to us at orderluminatoruniversalis@gmail.com and tell us what you would like from the Leo Zagami Show. And we will always try to help you out in one way or another. No, Christy? Mm-hmm. All the best. From me and Christy and Vincenzo Viceversa's Medieval. Vincenzo Viceversa is the guy who does also all my book covers, but he does also some great music. Here we are with this video produced by our friend Albert of Telepandemia.
No, don't do that. It doesn't look good. No, don't do that.
Technology, social organization, dehumanization, even negative utopia, science, technology, social organization. technology, social organization,